Hey everybody, it's John here. So everybody's been asking about my omelets that I make in the morning. So Terry heads out of town for a week, and what do? I produce a cooking show. That's how I roll. That's how exciting my life is. So just thought I'd put together a quick video, show everybody how I do all of this. So first thing that I do is I start off with my fresh ingredients. So in the back we've got about 3 cups of chopped baby spinach, fresh. We've got about 1.5 cups of shredded Mexican cheese from Kroger. We have 5 ounces of chopped white mushrooms, button mushrooms, whatever you want to call them, and a whole diced onion. In the Pyrex bowl there, we've got 15 eggs that have been scrambled, and then 1 package of Jimmy Dean maple sausage. Now, for the meat, you can use anything that you want. I just happen to be on a Jimmy Dean maple kick right now. For the first couple of weeks, I did 10 slices of cooked bacon crumbled, but like I say, you can do anything that you want. My goal with this is to have something that has a good amount of fat in it, a moderate amount of protein, and really low carbs. So like the Jimmy Dean maple sausage, it's 6 carbs for the entire package of Jimmy Dean. And it just so happens that this recipe right here is gonna make about 6 servings. So that Jimmy Dean maple sausage only adds about 1 gram of carbohydrate per serving. So the first thing I do is I take the Jimmy Dean sausage and I just press it down really thin into this frying pan, kind of portable frying pan. And the reason that I do that is that I just want it to cook as fast as possible. I'm kind of impatient. So I just press it down really thin into one big, huge patty. Once it cooks on one side, then I flip it over, let it cook on the other side. And as it's cooking on the second side, you'll see I'll chop it up into little itty bits, as bitty as I can get. If anybody has a better way of doing this, I'd love to know, but this is what I found works for me so far. Oh yeah, listen to that sizzle. So anyway, this is the Jimmy Dean, obviously starting to cook down on one side. I'm going to attempt to film and flip at the same time. Don't have anything fancy to hold the camera right now, so anyway, I'm just going to try and flip this over, see what happens. Not too shabby. So once it's in this state, then I just start beating it up with the spatula, chopping it up to get it into smaller bits. And I want it to get the smallest bits as I can. So rather than make you watch all of that, hang on, be right back. Okay, so now as you can see, I've got it pretty well chopped up down into little tinier bits. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take all of this and just kind of shove it over to one side. Just let it continue to cook a little bit while that's one thing I love about this pan is I can pretty much just do everything in one pan. When you do bacon, you get a little more fat, so it's a little easier to cook the onions and mushrooms. So I just add just a little bit of olive oil in there, and then I'll throw my mushrooms in, or not my mushrooms, but my onions. Throw my onions in there, kind of let those start to cook a little bit. So again, this is just one whole onion. And let that cook down a little bit. So the onions are cooking down nicely there. So once the onions just get a little bit soft, then you'll add in the spinach and the mushrooms. So while that stuff is cooking, I go ahead and get my oven started to preheat. So I put it on convection bake 350 and hit start. And so if you don't have a convection oven, it's not a big deal. It just cooks a little bit faster. So I'll let that heat up to 350, and back here things are looking pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in the mushrooms. Now you may end up adding a little bit more olive oil because those mushrooms will suck up any oil that's in there. And I'm going to throw my spinach in there as well and just kind of let that get wilty. So throw that in there. And then we'll just start stirring all this stuff around. We're going to mix it back in with the sausage. We're going to get a nice mixture going here. So like I said, I just want to cook this down until the spinach kind of gets wilty. I've got everything mixed in there. The Jimmy Dean sausage is nice and brown. The onions are nice and soft, and you know, I don't like my mushrooms too soft, so they've cooked just a little bit. And I was cooking this on 350, but I'm going to just turn it down to warm right now. Just kind of let it sit there, stay warm for a bit while I get my containers ready. Okay, so I've got these are 2-cup Anchor Hocking containers, and I found them at the outlet store up in Tulalip at a place called the Kitchen Collection, and there was a set of 3 of them with lids for I think about $6 a piece. So for $12 I picked up these 6 things. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take the mixture and spread it evenly as I can amongst the 6 bowls. Okay, so I've gotten the mixture out of the pan, and it's pretty well spread evenly amongst the 6 bowls. Now, obviously, you're going to notice that some have more veggies, some have more meat, but you know, the overall idea is that you've got a recipe for the entire week, and you know, the calories, carbs, fat, protein will all kind of balance out throughout the week. Next, I'm going to add the cheese, about 1/4 cup of cheese per bowl. So now I've got the cheese in each of the bowls, and I'm just going to take a fork and just kind of mix it in just a little bit. You don't have to be too precise with any of this stuff. So we're just going to pour the eggs in here in just a second, and then we'll get them into the oven to bake. Okay, so now all that's left to do is go ahead and pour the egg mixture into the bowls. I did forget to mention too that if you want to, you can spray the inside of the bowls with maybe some coconut oil or something like that to help prevent them from sticking. But what I found is either the bacon grease or the grease from the sausage, really they don't stick too much at all. So I didn't do that, and probably won't, but you can feel free to do that if you find that they stick in whatever bowls you're using. So this is a little bit tough because you've got 15 eggs to spread amongst 3 bowls, and you've got all the eggs in this big arse Pyrex mixing dish. So you can certainly, you know, mix up 2 1/3 eggs, or however many that works out to, per bowl, and then pour them in. But I just kind of like to guesstimate it. So first one I'm going to do here, and you want to just, like I said, just be real careful. Don't put a ton in because you've got to spread it out. So just kind of go through each bowl, pour a little bit in. You don't want them to be too full because the eggs will expand. So there's 3, 4, 5, and 6. So what I'm going to do now is I've got a little bit of egg left. I'm just going to stir these up with a fork and kind of eyeball measure to make sure that they're all about the same. Okay, so there, all the egg is in, and as you can see, they're all pretty well even. So, and what I did with stirring in, you know, with the fork and whatnot, it kind of gets the egg all throughout the ingredients and kind of helps them cook a little bit more evenly. Okay, so the last thing to do is just throw them in the oven. So what I do is I just put them all on a cookie sheet. This is kind of an old ratty cookie sheet that we have. And just throw them in the oven. It's, like I said, it's preheated to 350, and I've got it on convection bake. You can do it on regular bake if you don't have a convection oven, not a big deal. Okay, so those bad boys are in the oven. Let's close the oven door, and we're off to the races. This is probably going to take anywhere from about 35 to 50 minutes to bake. So I usually check them at about 25 minutes. What I'll do is I'll just pull them out, stab a fork in them, and if the fork comes out clean, I know they're pretty much done. Okay, so these have been in for about 25 minutes now, and timer's just about ready to go off. So turn that off, open up the oven. They're looking pretty good. They're probably not quite done yet. Like I said, this has been about 25 minutes, so we're just gonna pull them out. They look yummy though. And we're just gonna stick kind of the handle of a fork. Yeah, no, they still need a little bit. So see how it's kind of gooey there? So we don't want that. No gooey omelets. So put those back in, close the door. We're going to set the timer here for 15 more minutes, and we'll be off. Okay, so it's been another 15 minutes, and we're going to check these babies now. They look really good, and the kitchen smells unbelievable. So they got that nice golden brown top on them, so I think they're going to be good. Yep, good, 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 good. No gooey omelets, so they're all good. We're going to pull those out now and set them on the table or on the counter to cool. Okay, so there they are in all their glory. Like I said, nice golden brown tops. And you can see that they filled those 2-cup bowls up pretty well with the egg expanding. So the only thing left to do now is put the covers on them and throw them in the refrigerator. But I'm not going to do that when they're fresh out of the oven. I just don't want anything weird to happen. So I'm going to let them cool for about 5 minutes before I do that. Okay, so these have been cooling for a little bit now. All I'm going to do now is just go ahead and put the lids on these. And so like I said, you know, 3 of these containers with lids, I think they were about $5, maybe $6 for 3. So about $2 a piece with lids. So I'll go ahead and put the lids on. That one's a little wonky, but I'll fix that. I just put everything into MyFitnessPal to figure out nutrition information. It's about 40 grams of fat, about 32 grams of protein, and about 5 grams of carbohydrate per bowl. 522 total calories. So it's a great grab and go alternative. What I'll do is I'll throw probably a couple tablespoons of sour cream on them and maybe some salsa in the morning, and I'm out the door. 600 calories, low carb, moderate protein, high fat, and this will usually actually keep me full at least until noon, sometimes until about 3 or 4. So there you have it, my grab and go omelets in the morning.